Hey ASL fans, and this is Matt Metagross here with your Week 2 Power Rankings. Sorry I couldn't make it last week. We had some scheduling issues, but I am back and I am ready to record this week of Power Rankings. Are you ready
Yeah,
to jump?
boys.
You ready to jump into
Matt
it,
is
Milon?
here. Yes, Matt is here. Let's do it.
All right, let's jump right into number 14, where both of us had Inter Milotic. Now,
Yes.
this team kind of got blown out of the water 2 weeks in a row. That's all there really is to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So,
basically like we can go talk about what wasn't good, but we can also just keep it short and be like static. Your prep and plays were pretty poorly. Your team is, in my opinion, too slow, and I would suggest some free agencies on your part. I don't know which ones, but either you need to get comfortable with your team and pull out some solid victories, or I think you should swap up your team a bit because this isn't working out.
yeah, definitely. So, but it's very early in the season still. He can make a comeback very easily. So we'll
Yes,
just
of
have to
course.
see. We'll just have to
Yeah,
see where that goes for him.
he's a great coach. So once he gets to feel his team a bit better, he can pull out some great victories. I'm sure of it.
Yep. And next up is the Arcane Arcanites for me. And what did you have in 13 over here, Malone?
I have the St. Louis Swablues. Uh, you want to hear my reasoning, or should you go first?
First, last one. You go ahead.
All right. So I have Malone at number 13 because in this match, the only one that applied any pressure to the opposing team was Scully Pete. Uh, Porygon 2, maybe in a way, but all in all, your team was way too passive and you couldn't really pressure the uh, Newcastle Mets. So yeah, you weren't making any plays as well. Hutch typically advised you to make some plays when you're behind, but you didn't make them. So yeah, I can't give you any higher than this, man.
Yeah, I put the Arcanines here. I was actually really close between the Swablues and the Arcanines. I was going back and forth for a while. So I'll give my so just a little spoiler alert. As you guys can see on the screen, I did have the Swablues in 12. So I'm just gonna kind of give my reasoning for both since it's pretty similar.
All right.
Uh, both had pretty decent sized losses, both week 1 and week 2, and in similar ways as well. Um, the only reason I ended up putting the Arcanines on a slot lower is because of that week 1 loss to the Whalmers. Admittedly, the best team in the league, but it was a 6-0. So I decided because they got 6-0'd week 1, I was going to drop them below the Swablues. As for the Swablues, they got 5-0'd for their worst loss. So I'd say that's good enough for me to put Arcanines a little ahead.
Yeah, that's
A
fair.
little
That's
behind.
that's fair. Well, I have the Arcanines at place number 12. Uh, Basically, second Cobalion is a big no-no in my book. You should never sack Cobalion. Cobalion is the best mon in the format, in my opinion. No, that's JK, but I love my mon. Uh, After you sacked Cobalion, you did get some little kills, so it was only a 3-0 loss. That's why I put you over Malone. But yeah, in the end, I expected more out of you, Ian, and I hope you can make me proud again.
Definitely. Next up, we both have the BC Barrels.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the reason I put the Barrels up a little higher was because I felt that both of their losses were to some of the better teams in the league, so it was just a higher quality loss, if you will, because it was
Mm-hmm.
relatively close. Both of them were 3-0s, and also the two were to the Timbers and the Slow Bohemians, who both have either historical success in this league or current success in this league. So um, I decided that the Barrels were a better slot here.
Yeah, well, I have put the Biberos at place 11 because uh, I think in the game they didn't play that bad at all. I think they actually were in command of the game until that amazing cloister came in and just destroyed the, the great one. The finish set was also really good, but you have 2 losses in a row, so I can't put you any higher than this, man. So next up, who do you have next up?
Both of us have the Washington Whalelords.
Mm-hmm.
You can start this one since I started the last couple.
That's fair. Well, the Dragon set, first of all, put on a lot of pressure on your side, so that was great. But in general, your matchup was just terrible. It was just terrible. You have on your team, you have 2 big hitters, and those big hitters being Primarina and Diggersby, and both were like completely shut down by the Wilmers. Skarmory checked the Diggersby to a great extent, and Megavenusaur just walled up the Primarina. Granted, they have super effective coverage for them, but they still weren't able to break them, and unfortunately, you just lost. Granted, you lost versus a great player, so I didn't put you really low, but yeah, everything was just against you this matchup, and yeah, I can't be too harsh on that because I did see you struggled and tried to make plays, but it didn't work out.
So excuse me. But sorry, choked a little there. But something I think that will really help Cam is he needs to get out of his own head almost, just because we saw him make a lot of over predictions this game, and that's what really cost him the match. He over predicted twice on that Latios. He over predicted with his Primarina, which he could have killed that Skarmory. And I think if Cam just like isn't psyching himself out so much, I think he'll win these next couple games again on a real nice win streak here.
Yeah, I agree. He has great potential. So next up, we have at number 9, we both have the Florida Floatzel's. You want to give your reasoning why you put Rocker at number 9?
Well, if you look at his losses, they were really, really close losses. I'm going to see if I can pull up the exact stats here. He lost 2-0 week 1, which was Kartana Mamoswine, which that's very hard to switch into. Mamoswine is just such a core breaker, especially for his team. He really doesn't like his Pangoro was the best thing he had for that Mamoswine. Like you look at the team he brought, the only thing that didn't get hit super effectively by a stab was Pangoro, Weavile, and Deoxys Speed. 3 pretty frail mons. So I think that's something he can improve in his prep, but in the game, he just did not have the bulk either week. So I think that's something he can fix in his team, but the way he played was really good. I really did like the way he played, though.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I have in my reasoning too. Last week you didn't value your win cons right. This week you definitely did. You played really careful. You played pretty solid, in my opinion. The RNG happens a lot in this game in your favor. It's not your fault. RNG is on your side, so I can't really give you a penalty on that part. The Mudsdale put in a ton of work, so that was cool to see. Granted, though, you did lose. You have 2 losses in a row. It's not terrible. I think you definitely are improving, and I think the next week you can definitely grab a victory.
Yeah, I think at this point, the only limitation other than himself for Rocker is if he can is a little bit of a knockoff weakness, but that's it. If he can handle knockoff coming forward, I think he'll have a really good season. But do you have any last thoughts on that team? Because I think it's time to move on.
Yeah, it's time to move on, man.
All right, number 8 is the Slow Bohemians.
Yes, coached by TJ. Well, I put TJ a lot higher than last week. Last week he didn't have a good performance. This week it was a lot better. Granted, I still think the Great One was in charge of the entirety of the battle until the Cloister came in, but I think you realized Cloister was such a big threat versus his team, and you just waited for the right opportunity and executed a great set. He was definitely not expecting a poison jab that Cloister packed for the Fini, and after that he just lost. And Cloister put in a ton of work this match. So GG TJ.
Yeah, the reason I have the Slow Bohemians the lowest out of any team that actually has a win right now is because realistically, if he didn't have that Cloister, he lost. Great
Yeah,
job preserving your win con, but a defensive Mew could have, like, had it been at full health, could have walled out that Cloister. There was a lot of things that went right for him this match, and good job for getting those things to go right. But realistically, if that specific situation where that Cloister got set up didn't occur, he lost. In my
yeah,
opinion, I don't think there's any way around that.
for sure. Moving on to number 7, we actually have a difference again. You have the St. Louis Samurott at number 7, and I have the Portland Timbers. Should I start with my reasoning first?
Yeah, because my reasoning was more focused on who I didn't put. So you go ahead.
All right. Well, I put the Portland Timbers at number 7. The reason of this is Hutch absolutely loves Aromatis. That's for sure. Aromatis was a big thing in this game. Hutch was in control of the game until that Aromatis set up and the momentum switched. He played really well with his Lopunny. I like the heel belt tag on it. He shut down Zard X very nice, so that's also very good on his part. He preserved his Piloswine in the end, which could have won him the game if the Registeel didn't outspeed it in the end. So I think Hutch played a really good game, but he still lost, so I can't put him that much higher over the other teams because I think the other teams improved a lot more in week 2 or just have a better record. So that's why I couldn't put you any higher, but I still think you put up a great fight and you did play someone who's really good. You played at number 2 last week, so mad respect for you.
Yeah, the reason I had St. Louis so low for I believe they actually are 2-0. This was my lowest 2-0 team. Was
Yeah,
because of who they've beaten. Essentially, like I felt, even though this team had more wins, I didn't feel that the Samurot's wins were high quality. Like we had the Warlords very low. We both had Florida Floatzel's mid, and so I honestly feel like Anderson needs to play someone of a high, like someone that's actually doing well with their season, and then I feel like I'll put him a lot higher once he gets a higher quality win.
yeah,
So,
right.
want to
Can
move
you
on to the next?
yeah, explain why you have the Portland Timbers at place number 6?
Okay, so kind of similarly to what I was talking about with the Samurotts, even though the Portland Timbers are 1-1, I felt that they had a really good win and a very high caliber, high quality, like competitive loss.
Yeah.
Like you look at it, the Flygons have an amazing team and are doing really well this season. And um, if you look at who he actually beat, he beat the Barrels 3-0, which admittedly isn't the greatest. Like I felt the way the matchups worked and the way just the whole thing worked, I felt like Hutch
Yeah,
was
they
more
definitely had a
had
better
a.
matchup.
I felt like Hutch had a harder road to climb to get to where he is now than the Samurotts did. So I felt like because of who he's played, I felt Hutch deserved this spot.
All right, fair enough. I have the Phoenix Flygons at number 6. My reasoning why. First week, they did get a 6-0, only used one mon. But the team they played is currently 0-2, minus 12. So, like, that victory, yes, it's a nice 6-0, but granted, it's also versus the definitely weakest team in the league. He just didn't have anything. The prep on that team's part is really lackluster. So uh, obviously that's not your fault. Your Hitmonchan set was great, and this week you uh, you weren't really shining in the battle, in my opinion. I think Hutch definitely outplayed you a lot better in this game, but the Toxic really put on a big timer on a lot of the mons on the Portland Timbers. So the Protect Toxic stalling with the Registry really helped you out, and the recovery spam you have. Your team is really good. I think you have great potential. You're a great coach, but didn't you didn't really shine like I think you should, and that's why I put you so low.
Yeah, so I want to talk about our number 5s now and ask you why you had the Samurott so high, because you had a decent amount higher than I did.
Mm-hmm. Well, I put the St. Louis Samurats a lot higher because, first of all, they're 2-0, so they have that going on. The second thing is the second game they played, they did get a lot of hacks against it, like a lot. You should, if you look at the battle again, you will notice that the ways Anderson tried to break the opposing team were really effective. His prep was really good, but the RNG was just a bitch. And if you still pull out a victory versus a very bad hexy match, I just gotta respect that. The prep and the plays were there, and will definitely reward Anderson in the future. But as of right now, I can't put him that much higher than this. Granted, he's still 2-0, so if he keeps winning, he will definitely rise. But I think if the RNG will will calm down a bit, he will definitely have more overall quality battles. So you will realize the true potential of this team.
All right, fair enough. I put the Utah Hoots here, and
Mm,
the reason I decided to put the Hoots here was because um, I felt they played really well this week. Because you look at, first let's look at the way they played against the Arcaniners.
mm-hmm,
Rodamo, once that Lando T went down, Rodamo was perhaps the biggest threat to the Arcaniners team, and it never hit the field. Mega Scizor, another great threat on against this team. Once a couple key mons go down, that could have been a great cleaner, and it never came in. Um,
mm-hmm.
and you look at week 1, Kieran was just an absolute monster, and the Mega Scizor didn't hit the field. So I think when you have a powerful mon like a Mega Scizor and are winning without actually using it that much, like you're bringing it, but you don't have to use it. I think that says a lot about your team and a lot about your skill. So that's why I had them up here as high as I did.
All right. I actually have the Utah Hoots at place number 4 because the way Susie is playing really impressed me. If you see the two teams he beat it are now partially because of him, almost the lowest teams in the league. So he did this week. He did definitely destroy the Arcane Arcaniners. He put up a ton of pressure with the Necrozma in the beginning. The Kyurem after that basically broke down the entire team, and he just grabbed up a nice victory, a nice 3-0 once again. Susi is really doing well, in my opinion, so I gotta respect that and put him in a fairly high place.
All right, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I felt the Dragonites deserved a 4 slot,
All
and
right.
the reason I felt the Dragonites beat out the Hoots was because of the way they're playing with the team. I personally thought wasn't going to work very well, but he's proving me absolutely wrong. So
Mm-hmm.
first off, let's take a look at the fact that an Alolan Raichu just got a 5-kill sweep.
Oh yeah.
That's really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then he also is just using his whole team very well. I think the fact that his whole team is getting in on it. Heck, this week he didn't even bring that Dragonite. His Mamoswine didn't touch the field. Same with his Kartana. He had so many threats that he didn't need to use this week, as well as the fact that he just 6-0'd someone. So I felt like, St. George has a ton of momentum on top of the fact that they're playing really well. So I felt that they deserve to be above the Hoots.
All right, man. Solid points.
So number 3, I have the Hartford Whalers. And
Interesting.
I'm going to get some flack for this, and I know it, because the Whalers are, in terms of standings, the number 1 team. But what you have to remember is power rankings and the standings are different things. The reason I have the Whalers right here is because of who they've beaten. Because when I'm looking at who the Whalers have beaten, yes, they beat them massively. I'm not denying that. But they beat the Washington Whalelords and the Arcane Arcanides, who are 2 of the bottom teams in my power rankings, and Cam handed him that 6-0 to be fair as well. So I, similarly to why I had Samurott slower than they are in the standings, I think I need to see Hartford beat one of these highly ranked teams before I can put them up. So
fair enough. That's fair enough. I have the Newcastle Mets at place number 3. Reason being, he played very well. First of all, he did get another nice victory, so congratulations on that. His record is really, really looking good. But there were some things I just need to mention. I loved the Hariyama set. I love Gut set, so that was very nice to see. And you took advantage of your opponent really easily. Uh, Congrats to that. So that's why you are ranked so high. The thing is, though, the teams you beat didn't really impress me. TJ put up a shit show last week. So yeah, and your extra drill just did all the work. You basically didn't have to do anything. And this week you beat the St. Louis Swablues, who, in my opinion, played really, really passive. Granted, that's not your fault. You just played the best you can and abused that fact. But I still can't put you in the number 2 or 1 spot, in my opinion, because you played some weaker people, some weaker teams, and just like Matt says, until you play some big titans and pull out victories on them, I will definitely put you higher at place 2 or 1.
all right, that's a fair point. And now we're moving into the final side, our top 2.
All
Personally,
right.
I had, and this is our biggest difference in this whole rankings, the Phoenix Flygons at number 2.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I had the Flygons is because out of all these teams with a win, I felt that, even 1 win, let alone 2, I felt the Flygons had the most quality win. Like, I feel like all this league is very polarized at this moment. So, the Flygons taking out Hutch, I think, is probably the most impressive one of the season so far by any coach. So, and it was also a great game. So that's why I decided to put them so high. Why did you put I believe you had the Dragonites at number 2?
Yes, I have the Dragonites at number 2, and basically the only reason I put it at number 2 is because they got a very nice sweep with my favorite Gen 7 mon, Alolan Raichu. Gotta love it. He's definitely entertaining me the most this season. I love his offensive playstyle. I like offensive teams. He's playing very well with them. As you mentioned, he doesn't even have to use all his threats to be effective. And I'm just a big fan of his plays, and I'm looking forward to his week 3 match.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of really good matches week 3, but
Yeah, he has so much momentum going on. I mean, this team is going to be one of the top teams in a moment for sure.
Yep. And now we have the final team here, the Newcastle Mets. Now, why, oh why did I put the Newcastle Mets so high? Well, it's
You
for a
tell
few
me.
reasons. It's for a few reasons. First off, similarly to DeFlygons beating Hutch, he's also beat the other 1-1 team in the league and did it with a 5-0, which is pretty impressive. So that gave him a straight shot into the top two. And then I felt that the way in which he played against the Barrels was absolutely phenomenal. I just was trying to think to myself, if I'm in the shoes of the Barrels, how do I beat this team?
Hello? What's going on? I can't hear Matt anymore. Um, well, I'll just move on to my pick. I have the Hartford Whalers at number one. Why? Well, it's speaking for itself. The record is amazing, and his prep is really, really quality. He perfectly checked the best offensive months on the opposing side. He checked the Primarina and the Diggersby really well. The Z move was really well executed, and the Ladio set was just straight up fire. The Ladio set was made so the Ditto couldn't counter sweep him, and I absolutely loved it. Latios is one of my favorite mons, and seeing it put in the work definitely appealed to me. So until you get some big losses, I can't see the Hartford Whalers moving down. I don't know if Matt is coming back anytime soon. I
I'm right
hope he
here.
is. Oh, you're here. All right.
I'm right here.
I didn't hear you for the longest time.
I was just letting you talk about the Whalers.
Oh, my bad.
So, yeah. Tell us what you guys had for your picks down in the comments below. I think this week was very interesting. It's always interesting when you do early week power rankings. They're so volatile, but I think that
Yeah.
we had a pretty diverse set of opinions here, and I think that one of us got it right, definitely. So, a couple key matches coming up this week. Be sure to stay tuned into the ASL channels for all those matches. See you guys next time. Malone,
For
you want to
sure.
sign off? You want to sign off for us?
Leave us a comment what you think of the video, if you agreed or disagreed with us. I really hope you guys will blow our minds with the week three games, and just give a big swing on the teams that are on the lower end, and definitely prove us wrong why you should be at the place 2 or 1, and make it happen for yourself. I see a lot of coaches that really have good potential to win this league, and that's about it, man. See you guys in week 3.